Okay, so I have Chris dialed up on Skype. Thank you for joining us, Chris, and how you doing tonight?
Doing great, thank you.
Good. Well, I've told people a little bit about you already in the podcast and how we met at the N Scale convention. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself so that they realize who you are and what you do?
Sure, happy to. My name's Chris Brimley. I've been in the hobby since I was a 14-year-old boy. Before that, was involved in things like Hot Wheels and Lego and transitioned into trains. So I started in HO, moved into N Scale, and been primarily in N Scale for most of my life. However, I'm going to start dabbling in some other scales here soon. What most people kind of know modeling wise of me, I have a small shelf layout at home. It's just a 1x7 foot layout it's called the Hudson terminal. It's an N scale shelf switching layout that is based it's a fictional subsidiary of the New York Central in 1955 New York.
Right, and people ought to remember that because we did a layout tour of the Hudson terminal last year. And
yes, you did.
yeah, seeing it in person is even better than seeing it on the pictures.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So personally, that's what I do. Professionally, I work for ExactRail. I'm the vice president of product, and so I do all the product design work for little old ExactRail.
Yeah, right. And really, that's how we came to meet because I came out to the N Scale convention that was in Salt Lake City. That was in 2018, I believe, and that I think was the first time I met you. Was at the ExactRail table.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was at 2018. I remember that well. It was fun having the N Scale convention here locally. It's always good to have a show that you don't have to travel to. That's too far away.
Right. I'm kind of curious about that too. So, does your job require you to travel all over the place for all the conventions and stuff normally when we're not stuck at home with viruses and such?
Yeah. I do. I generally do, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10 shows a year. And I've only this year had one, just the Springfield show in Massachusetts, and kind of missing shows right now. I've got nothing on the calendar till who knows when right now.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that happened, I guess it was earlier last month or earlier this month, the NMRA National was canceled because people were not sure if they could even go because they didn't know if hotels were going to be open or if people would show up, or they didn't know if anything was going on. So they're just like, you know what, we better just cancel this and get as much of our deposits back as possible.
Yeah, that was canceled about the same time. The N Scale convention in Nashville, Tennessee was canceled, which was coming up in June. And then another show that I had planned out, which was the Collinsville RPM meet just outside of St. Louis, was also canceled. So as of right now, I don't have anything scheduled until November until Train Fest.
And who even knows if that'll happen too, huh?
Yeah, I hope it doesn't get canceled, but we'll see what happens right now.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all kind of playing it by ear with this pandemic. So now I have a question for you because a while back, it seemed like I remember reading something that you wanted to sell your Hudson terminal, which really surprised me, especially after seeing it, seeing all the work and blood, sweat, and tears that went into making it so nice. What was going on there?
Yeah, that surprised a few people, and I went back on it. So what had happened? This was around, I think it was just as after Christmas when this happened, when I put the layout, or I said I was going to sell the layout. And the following year in 2019, we also had the national convention in Salt Lake. Also had the layout on the cover of Model Railroad Craftsman in May 2019. So I had a lot of things that were kind of a high that had happened. And I've been picking at the layout for a better part of 10 years. I mean, off and on, not straight. I mean, it's a small layout. But I dedicated myself towards it. And I'm a pretty focused modeler. I generally don't jump around on too many projects. I usually have one thing that I kind of work on, and I like to work on that. And all the research I'd put into it, I stuck with that. And suddenly the layout, it's not done, but it felt done. It looks done. And suddenly I felt like I have no direction personally as a modeler. And I just kind of really went into kind of a dark funk in the hobby, in modeling personally. ExactRail separate. I love my job, but sometimes when your hobby is also your work, the last thing you want to do when you come home from work is to do more train related items. You just sometimes just want to put that stuff away and then come in the next day and then focus on that. But at home, I want to do something else. Yeah. I've got other hobbies away from my hobby that I felt like doing instead. So I really was in kind of a place where I considered just getting out of the hobby personally entirely. So not only was I going to sell my layout, I was going to sell everything, like everything, my library of books, all my trains. I actually have a lot of HO equipment still, and I was going to get rid of that, just dump it. But what really, a few things happened that stopped me pretty quick, because I posted that I was up for sale. And then I took it down, I think 2 or 3 days later. I didn't get any serious offers at all. So maybe that's kind of sad. But but it was good. So what had happened after, I talked to a few close friends that are local, that have also been modeling for a long time, and they've also built multiple layouts themselves, and they've told me this is common. This happens. You focus so heavily on something, and suddenly it's done, and you get into this funk, and you just kind of don't know what to do yet. And both of them told me, it was like, don't make any decisions right now with what to do with it. Just leave it be, just walk away from it, even if it's for a year, just step away from it right now. And then also the other thing that happened at the same time, my oldest daughter found out I had it up for sale, and she got mad. She's 14 now, but for 10 years of her life, I mean, pretty much it's been there. And so she grew up alongside it. I've got photos of her when she was 4 years old, running a train on it when I first laid track on it, and she was mad. I mean, she really felt like I was selling a member of the family.
You're selling out, Dad.
Yeah, so I didn't realize it was so important to the rest of the family. Part of me kind of thought, it was like, it's just one of Dad's toys, who cares? But no, it grew up with them.
Right.
And so it held kind of a special place. And so, I don't know, I guess she's earned it as something that she'll earn when I pass away. She gets the layout. And she can figure out what she wants to do with it. We'll see. Well, maybe, fortunately, it's small. Right. It's small. It's easy to move.
Maybe she'll put it up for sale, in 100 years when that happens, and she won't get any offers either.
No, it'd be sad. Just take it out in the backyard and shoot it dead or something. I don't know.
Make a video of. Well, I'm not going to go down that. I was going to say make a video burning it, but that's very bad.
Yeah.
It's a sacrilege, man. Talking about burning your model layout.
I'll bury it with me. It's small enough I could bury it with me almost. So.
Well, it's longer than you. So if you get to be skinny, they could bury you in it.
Wow. Yeah, I could do that. Now, just dig a slightly deeper hole and bury it beneath me, and then put the casket over the top of it.
Yeah. How did we get on this, Chris?
I don't know. This has really gone pretty morbid. So maybe we should move on.
Yeah, but we're both laughing, so it can't be too bad. So what happened though? So you decided, you got out of your funk and you decided not to sell it, obviously.
Yeah, well, I didn't fully get out of the funk. I mean, still a little bit in it. I mean, it's now 5 months later, and I haven't done any modeling at all. Personally, just been trying to focus on work as best I can right now with what's going on. It makes it a little difficult, but we've been getting through okay. But I just decided just to leave it alone and just see what happens. If the itch strikes again, then yeah, I would go down to visit it. I also did a little bit of fiddling and research and possibly creating a new layout. And I've thought about expanding on the Hudson terminal. I've thought about jumping into a new scale. A close friend of mine's really been pushing hard for me. Actually, not just a personal friend. I've actually have 4 or 5 friends that have been pushing really hard for me to go into HON3.
Oh, I probably know 2 of them.
Yeah, you probably know a few of them. So, and so they've been really pushing hard with that, and I've actually really intrigued to do it. I don't feel like I'm going to immediately, but I've always, I didn't grow up, but I was born in Colorado, and so I've always had a soft spot for Colorado and always liked mining, and so I'll probably eventually do an HON3 Rio Grande Southern layout. I just see myself doing that at some point.
Oh, interesting.
Right now, I don't know.
You know, based on our conversations that we've had prior to now, I've always got the impression that you would look for something unusual, what I would think of as unusual to model. Like the Hudson Terminal was kind of an unusual thing. It's a fictional setting, right? But based on reality.
It is. It's based on prototype, but it's still, I guess some people call it proto-lancing, where it's a prototype layout, but it's a freelance. And I've always kind of felt if I'm going to do something, I really should, whatever I do, it needs to be a departure from what I do at ExactRail. And, but I still love a lot of the stuff we do at ExactRail. I love a lot of, I love that stuff, but for it to be something that I can detach myself away from work, it can still be model railroading related, but it needs to be something different. And so I shouldn't do something that's, some modern prototype layout right now. I've thought about doing something really crazy. I mean, HON3 narrow gauge to me feels like a departure from what we're doing. And so that's something different. I've thought about doing something as crazy as doing like a hyper realistic version of the island of Sodor from Thomas the Tank Engine. Right. Just something fun. I've thought about making my own thing up completely, something not necessarily like the Gory and Defeated, but just something that's just whatever comes out of my brain. Everything is completely fictional. The railroads are fictional. Everything's fictional. And I think that would be fun for a time, but I don't know if that would keep me entertained for too long. I think that would be a good departure or vacation or something away from what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, it seems like it would be something that you could use as a creative outlet away from work. But at some point, though, if you hit a block if you hit a creative block, as they call it, that could make it really hard too to enjoy that. So there's a lot of decisions that you have to come to, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So, but now, what did you do, though? So you were in this dark place, you talked to your friends, but you also did something else. Didn't you start exercising more and getting out and doing stuff like that?
Yeah, so that actually started a little bit before. That started, it was in October. And so there was a few things that happened to me in October. One, I had a friend who passed away unexpectedly of a heart attack. And about the same time, I started, I thought I was having a stroke and actually went to the hospital, went to emergency. I had a bunch of numbness going on my left side and both my arm and my leg. And it turned out my leg, there were 2 separate things. My leg is just sciatic nerve. Stupid thing, but it will always bug me for the rest of my life, I guess. And then my arm, a few years ago, I dislocated a rib and it hadn't fully set in and it was just pinching a nerve in my arm. And so it's nerve things in both things. And so, but it was enough that it kind of scared me. And then also my friend that unexpectedly passed away. And so I decided I've got to get back and I've got to do something. And a few years ago, I did lose a little bit of weight, but I put most of it back on really quickly. But I knew I needed to find something I love to do. And I've always wanted to hike. And so I just started hiking just in the foothills and the mountains just behind my house. So, I mean, you've been out to my house, my house is literally not even a quarter of a mile away from 11,000 foot mountains. And so it's easy to disappear, and there's lots of trails just right up from where I live. And so I hit those almost daily. And right now I'm doing anywhere. Yesterday I hiked about 6 miles.
Wow.
Did about almost 2,000 vertical 2,000 vertical feet. So it was a climb, but a lot of fun. So yeah.
That's a serious hike.
Yeah, it was a serious hike. It was rough. You picked up a backpack just last week, and so kind of breaking that in, getting used to having it. I've been having a lot of fun. So far, I'm about 50 pounds down from where I was in October.
Wow.
So I'm hoping
That's really great.
Thank you. So I'm kind of hoping, by this next October, I'm hoping to be another 50 down. So in a year, if I could be 100 down, that would be amazing.
Well, if I see you out here at the Santa Clara National Convention next year, I might not recognize you.
No, you might not even be able to see me.
You turn sideways, you disappear altogether, huh?
Just look for the beard. That's all you'll be able to see.
I'll look for the guy that looks kind of like Gandalf, but not really.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me that you were working on some kind of a project with your Hudson terminal to be able to run a different era equipment or something to that effect. I didn't remember exactly how that went.
So this was always a kind of a plan that I've had for the past few years, and so every now and again I would acquire a little bit of equipment, but I've always wanted to do. So this actually happened because of working at ExactRail. Because of working at ExactRail, we do a lot of rolling stock that's from the 70s, and I've just fallen in love with it. Where the layout was always 1955, I always just really wanted to do something 70s related, and so I started thinking, and I could, since the layout's this small, I could easily do dual era on the layout, where I could change everything over to be 1975. And the reason I settled on 1975 was because once Conrail took over after the Penn Central failure in '76, Conrail closed all of the switching terminals that were in the New York area, or closed most of them that they had a hand in. Mm-hmm. And so they all disappeared. And even by 75, most of them were in pretty poor shape anyway. Most of the traffic that was going into these little terminals was trucked in and out anyway. And so I started acquiring a few pieces of rolling stock to eventually be able to do 75 operations on there. And so just in the last week, I decided, let's see how much I've got. So I put all the 75 equipment out on the layout, put everything that's 55, including the vehicles, away. And right now I'm just trying to figure out, how do I want to do this? Do I have enough equipment? And there's some pieces I've got enough. There's a few that I still need to acquire, a few more. I need more 70s era vehicles, which there isn't that many in N-scale, unfortunately. And there's a few. There's enough. I've got a great little model of Herbie from Oxford Diecast. I'm quite proud to have that because I grew up watching Herbie.
I remember Herbie the Love Bug, yeah.
Yeah. I should have him driving around in some of the cornices of the buildings or something like that. But anyway, and so doing this has kind of got me excited with the layout again. And there's a few signs on the buildings I want to change over. There's a little Nabisco one that I want to take off, and unfortunately I glued it to the building, and so I need to try to figure out how to remove it. So I can take it off and put a 70s era billboard in the place of it. And what I'll probably do is do a magnet on the building so I could swap them back and forth and then go back to 55 if I wanted to.
Oh, that's cool. But the idea is to dual it though, right? Like you're not going to just go 70s. You're going to still have your 50s stuff for whenever you want to run that too.
Yeah.
Quick question. How does that change the power? Because you had that one little, what was it, an Alco switcher? I don't even remember, but it was a little tiny switcher. You going to use the same power, or are you going to use a different locomotive?
I have a different locomotive.
Oh,
fortunately, since the layout's so small, only one locomotive on the layout, and so buying another locomotive wasn't too big of a deal. And so for the 1955, I use a New York Central Baldwin VO1000.
Okay, it was a Baldwin, okay.
Yeah, and then for 75, I have a Penn Central Alco S2.
Okay, cool.
So they look almost identical. I mean, they're very, very similar to each other.
Yeah, I'll have to check in on the Facebook page. I should mention that you have a Facebook page for the Hudson terminal, right?
I do, and I haven't updated it. The last thing I posted was back in December when I said, I'm going to sell a layout. And then I took it down, and I haven't posted anything since. So I'm sure there's a few people that think I either sold it or I died or something. I don't know, but I need to post something on there here soon.
Well, maybe this will be the impetus for you to post something to the Hudson Terminal Facebook page, because people who follow it might want to know what your plans are. I mean,
Yeah, I need to. And so I'm going to, once I start, I haven't done any model building yet. Right now it's just I've got a lot of cars that I've got to weather. I need to figure out what I want to do for the billboard. I haven't decided that yet, and that's actually what's been on my mind a lot lately. Like, what do I want to advertise on the layout? Like, I thought about doing like the Broadway musical of The Wiz, something. I don't know what I want to look like. The layout sponsored by 1975. I have no idea, but
I'm sure
something weird.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come up with something.
I'm working on it. I'm looking for something. I want a billboard that was in the area in 75, so I'm trying to find something.
Yeah. Well, I'll be interested to find out. But, knowing that you haven't updated the Facebook page makes me feel a little bit better, because I haven't looked at it in a while either.
Yeah. That's fine. Wait, you haven't? You should be on there daily.
I know. See what I mean? There's no guilt trips being pushed here, are there?
No, none at all.
Yeah, of course not. Of course not. But by the same token, I should tell you that you have plenty of time to think about that billboard while you're hiking.
I do, yeah, I know. I should. Maybe lightning will strike me one day, and I'm like, I've got it. It's going to be Burger King.
That would be really inspirational. Burger King,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, you're my new hero today now, Chris. Well, I'm kind of curious, and if you're able to share anything, because I know that the viewers of the channel love to hear about manufacturer stuff. So is there anything going on from ExactRail that that's coming up that you can talk about?
No, I'm not going to talk about that. Nothing. No, we have lots coming.
What's the stuff that you can talk about that's coming up?
We do actually have quite a bit coming from ExactRail here pretty soon. So in January at the Springfield show, we announced a new production of the Conrail Coil Shield and the Norfolk Southern Protector coil cars.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are super excited. The first run did exceptionally well, and we're really excited to have this one come. There's some new paint schemes, some repaint, some patched out versions that we have coming, and so I'm very excited to see these come. Creating the artwork for them was a lot of fun, and that's one of my favorite aspects of my job is creating the artwork on these cars. Ahead of them, there's actually two productions or two releases, I should say, that are ahead of those cars, and those are at this point on the water right now, and we should be releasing the first of those two this month. And then we'll probably release the next one the following month, and then the Coil Shield and Protector will be following the following. So it should be, as long as everything stays on schedule right now, the Coil Shield and Protector should be hitting in August, which is months later than we had originally expected. But as I'm sure everybody in the world knows, there was a little virus that started in China, and it kind of shut the country down at CNY, which was about the same time as the Springfield show, and the factory we used was shut down for 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh wow!
So it's just caused a lot of production delays, unfortunately. Even before then, these productions were a little bit delayed, which really is unfortunate. But the factory is starting to really pick up and catch up, which is great for us.
Well, I'll be looking forward to those new releases. I'm kind of curious what they are now. Now, I'm not going to ask you to tell us what they are, because I know you're not supposed to, but I'm looking forward to it.
They're coming. I'm very excited for them. Also, with these, I'm not sure which month we'll release them, but we also have finally a restock of our wheels and trucks. I know we've had a lot of people asking about those. Those have really been high in demand. They're coming. They should be here in either July or August.
Okay.
And so, we'll have a full restock of wheels and trucks, which would be fantastic to have finally. It's been far too long. being out of stock with us.
I know that I looked for the N scale wheels at some point, and I think one of them was out of stock, or they were both out of stock. And I think I got the last package of wheels, of N scale wheels.
Oh, did you?
I think I did when I came back when I came back there last time. So,
well, good.
Yeah,
more coming. Which is good, because with me switching over to 75, I need more N scale wheels myself in metal. So here just in time.
Yeah, it's ironic. I've talked to other people who do similar jobs to what you do, and it's always kind of cool to think that you're in a position to create the things that you would need if you weren't in the, you know what I mean? Like, you can make the stuff that you need, and there happens to be a market for it too, which is cool.
Yeah. So it's fun.
Okay, well, sounds great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these new releases are, and hopefully we'll be able to show them here on the channel. So,
yeah, no, we'll send you samples, John. Absolutely.
Cool.
It's been a pleasure being here. Just hanging in here.
Thanks much for taking the time out to talk to us. Really appreciate that, and hopefully we'll come back and talk to you about I have some ideas for shows in the future that I'd like to talk to you about off air. So we'll go now. So thanks, Chris, for taking the time. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
And now back to me in the studio.